Duck Sauce on RTHK Radio 3 with It's You. I'm now joined in the studio by Arvin Robles from American Community Theatre and also Wendy Herbert from WAG Productions. And they're here to talk about the revival of Hong Kong's first comedy improv showcase, which is happening this week, Friday the 30th and Saturday the 31st of August at the Fringe. Welcome to the program, Arvin and Wendy.
Thank you, Noreen.
So why are you guys bringing this back? I understand this comedy was on before?
Yeah, we did this years ago. I think it was 2006. Wow, that was a long time ago. It was the first time that we did a showcase because it actually hadn't, I mean, improv has been done in Hong Kong for quite some time. There's always, you know, a new group that comes along and says, oh, we're the first to do this. But actually it had been done before. But that in 2006, it was the first time it had been a showcase of a series of classes, which is the same as this one, where, you know, we kind of get to show off what we've been learning. So we decided to revisit it.
Why did it stop?
Well, it stopped. It didn't actually stop because there was no market for it. I mean, if you look around, there's so many wonderful comedic groups arising, especially if you go around Soho or Central, you'll always see a comedy show going on. And it's amazing that during the years that we had stopped, that's when the real demand has popped up. And you'll see comedians arising from those who've been aspiring to do it for a long time or those who just wanted to try it out for a weekend, ended up being very talented at it. Yeah. So we're actually in a thriving stage of the comedic market at the moment, and I don't think there's any worse time than now to need a laugh. So, so now,
this is true.
yeah. So now, because everyone seems to be in the mood for a good laugh, everyone needs a better sense of humor. So why not launch it again this year? Yeah. And we've had the privilege to recruit a whole new class of students for the shows coming up this weekend.
Are they talented?
Well, obviously. Obviously. Look, everybody's got talent. It's a funny thing, comedy, because people get so nervous. Oh, you know, people tell me I'm funny, but I've never really done it and I don't know how to do it. Everybody has the ability to think on their feet. But what sometimes people lack is just the tools or the confidence to know, you know, to know how to do that. So timing and things like that. So yeah, they're funny because everybody has that in them.
Are they funny in real life or do they sort of just switch on? And can you really learn to be funny?
How many comedians do you know? Honestly, most comedians I know are manic depressives anyway. You know,
I was going to say,
in real life, they're horrible, sad, pathetic, drunken, you know, drug-addicted people.
Tell us how you really feel, Wendy.
Like myself. No. But you know, when they get on stage, I think, you know, once they're under the lights, everybody has that kind of ta-da.
Yeah.
Well, one of the beauties of working with Wendy in this project is that there's so many different types of comedic talents among all of us. Some of us are very good with sudden one-liners. Some of us are very good with a visual. Some of us are very good with working with others and creating a visual slapstick comedy on stage.
Physical comedy. Or, you know, there's lots of different styles. Everybody does have their strengths. So yeah, it's true.
So yeah, it's a good showcase for people to safely and in a very entertaining way explore those talents on stage to a very receptive and supportive audience.
But what if somebody was in the class and they're really not that funny? How do you go about being honest? You know, how do you go about telling them or help them improve?
Yeah, I always tell people, and you know, I don't only do these showcases. I mean, I do a lot of coaching for other sort of areas of things like this, and obviously directing plays and things. I always tell people you don't have to put yourself under the pressure to be funny. Sometimes because every comedic duo that you know has a straight guy and the funny guy, and sometimes you're the person standing there being the foil. The trick is to know when to bail. Okay, if it's not funny and it's not happening, walk away, and that's okay because
walk away now.
Just, you know, cut it, and that's okay. Not everybody is funny, but everybody is capable of, like Arvin said, being part of the team.
Yeah.
So if your part of the team is just to stand there and get the pie in the face, that's your role, and that in itself is part of the entertainment. You know, people do put themselves under pressure to, you know, oh, I'll have to come up with something funny. No, you don't have to. Comedy is such a complex thing and what people find funny is so complex that you may have just a tiny little role in there somewhere, and that's your place.
And how much of it comes down to the audience response as well? Because, you know, you get the energy from the crowd as well. And some days with a bad crowd, it just doesn't work. But some days, even a less funny person can just get that sort of reaction. How do you train them to say, look, expect the worst, but hope for the best.
Well, that's why you get a brilliant hostess as Wendy, as the person hosting your event.
To get the crowd going.
For the past few weeks, Wendy has been working with these newcomers, and on the nights of our performance tomorrow and on Saturday, she will also be hosting the event. So she'll be mediating between the crowds, getting everyone's input for sketch ideas, and also she'll be watching over her students, guiding them towards how to make it really, really funny, or, as she said earlier, hooking them off stage when it's not working.
It is difficult when you have a quiet and cold crowd. It is difficult. Usually, though, people turn up to a comedy event looking to have fun. Usually. But
sometimes you get the hecklers.
Yeah, and I love hecklers. There is a.
Oh, really?
I love them.
I can only give it. I can't take it.
No, they are the very best in material. They really are. There is there has been a line of thought with some of the comedic groups in Hong Kong where, which comes from a different area, which is, we don't like hecklers because that's not how we do it. I have always embraced the heckler. Come to me. If you're going to bring it, bring weapons, okay? Because I'm ready to play anytime.
But that aside, I have to say, true dad. But I wanted to also say that we've been very fortunate that the audiences we've had for the Impro-Active shows in the past few years is that they understand that these people going on stage are really putting their egos aside and putting themselves out there for everyone to laugh at and to be entertained by. Yeah. And these are people who are doing it for most of them for the very first time. Yeah. So thankfully, a lot of the audiences coming in are really in. They're really in.
They're kind. Yeah.
They're kind, and they're also on the same page. They're really rooting for these people to deliver an awesome show.
Yeah. So what can the audience expect then? So what is it exactly? So I go there and I'm watching people. Are they rehearsing? Or
no, what it is if I may use sort of the names of other types of shows, but anybody who's seen Whose Line Is It Anyway, or any kind of theatre sports in Australia, that type of thing, it's based around the theatre sports sort of thing, and all of those things are similar. So there are games, they call them. They're really acting exercises, but they're games that become quite interactive with the audience. So let's say it's a scenario set up, there's a scene being played out, and I might ask the audience, okay, give me a different genre, and the same scene has to be played out as an opera. Give me another genre. Okay, it has to be played out as a Western. Talking about it now, it sounds fairly dry, but there is a certain amount of skill that comes about from the
thinking
performers
on your feet,
to do that. So that's what they've been working on in the last sort of 8 weeks. What happens when the audience sees it is they see the culmination of all of those skills and all of that learning to be quite an entertaining little vignette.
It sounds right. It doesn't sound right at all. Well, speaking of audience interaction, why don't we, I hear you guys have 2 tickets to give away to our audience, so why don't we ask them a question, and then they can, if they know the answer to the question you're about to ask, they can get in touch with me via my email, which is 123show@rthk.hk. That's 123show@rthk.hk. 123 as in the numbers, not the letters. Or you can call me at 233-88266, 233-88266. What's the question, Arvin?
Well, Impro-Active, the show, is being launched tomorrow at the Fringe Club and on Saturday. And our question is, WAG Productions is doing this with ACT. What does ACT stand for? That's it.
What does ACT stand for? American Community Theatre. Okay, that's all. I said it once already. Let's see who... I said really... Oh, I'm sorry.
Talk about spontaneous comedy. What's going on there?
That's another thing. Like, I have friends who are very funny in small group situation, maybe 5 or 6 people, and then you put them on stage, and then they're just not funny.
Yeah, they lose. That's just confidence,
Yeah, is it? So then...
But it's also training. I mean, you have to...
And then they ask us, should they go on stage? And we're like, yeah. But then when we see them on stage, they're really not that funny.
But as well as a radio person, the same thing happens with guests, right? You can be chatting to a guest off air, and you turn on the microphone and the guest just goes completely silent.
I know.
It's to do with overcoming that quiet little voice in our head that sometimes gets very loud that says, actually, you're not very good. And part of the training that I do, and there's a fair amount of psychology based around all performance, and particularly comedy. Part of the training that I do is to shut that little voice up, because sometimes it's just the confidence. There's no difference between telling a joke to one person and telling a joke to 100,000 people. The only difference is in your head.
Yeah?
That's the only place, because it's the same joke and it's the same person, and you're talking to one person in the audience. But there's something in our heads that says, I can't do this because lots of people are watching me. But you can do this. If you can do it if you can do it to your dog, you can do it to, the masses at the Sevens, you can.
When you help your students and you train them, do you sometimes you're able to identify that, hang on a minute, you actually specialize, you're actually not very confident, but maybe you could practice on a self-deprecating sort of humor. Do you help them identify the different strengths that they have?
Yes, indeed. And one of the things, and Arvin mentioned a word before, and it's something that's really important with improv, is that when they are practicing, they do it in a safe space. One of the most important things for me to do as the coordinator of this and the facilitator of this is to make sure that everybody feels that they are in a safe place to explore. That way, they know and I know that if there's an area that they're not particularly strong at or they don't feel comfortable in, they are never forced to go there. Because there is no point. If someone's not very verbal, but they're very good physically, you know, they've got great physical characteristics and they're slapsticky, that type of way, why would you set them up in a way to give them, you know, like one of the games that's very, very verbal? Because it just destroys, that little voice in the head gets really loud.
Maybe that's funny to watch them.
No, that's
the expense of someone's spirit.
This is why you don't teach this.
I know. I sound so mean.
I'd love to see Noreen on stage for that matter.
A little experiment.
Sounds like a plan.
No. So you guys spend 8 weeks in training. How important is class dynamics in all of this?
Oh, very, very, very. But you can make, and that's also sort of part of the training, part of my job, is to make sure that I identify instantly how to make that cohesion happen. And there's, you know, trust exercises and all the things that you've ever seen. Anybody's ever watched any kind of reality drama show, you know, you see everybody. We don't walk on hot coals where I am because I'm just not into that. But, you know, there is all that sort of thing of building up the team and the dynamic and understanding that and being respectful of one another's skill set. Everybody has a talent. And so, you know, there may be...
That's a great talent show name. Everybody has a talent. Forget about, you know, Britain or America.
We should launch that.
We should.
Okay.
Maybe RTHK can do something like that.
Okay, pitch meeting next week, ladies.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Everybody's got talent.
Sadly, we'll find someone out there who really doesn't have any,
And this is
and then
where
we'll be
Wendy
doomed.
has to stop.
But you were saying class dynamics is very important.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own sort of ego. And I would imagine a performer, especially, you have big egos in the room. So how do you go about sort of telling them, you know, tone it down a little bit?
One of the most important lessons you'll learn from comedy improv is there is a time to give and to receive.
Yeah.
And maybe Wendy can elaborate on this more.
Well, no, that's true. I mean, the whole idea of improvisation, the only reason improvisation works is what we call the offer and the acceptance. So there's always going to be someone who has a great idea. The idea of improv is to sometimes set aside your own ego and say, you know what, let's go with your idea. And later we'll try my idea. There's always a time. So, yes, of course, you have people who are always, you know, egotistical. That's no different in any sort of acting area. It's my job to make sure that everybody feels that they get heard.
Yeah,
you know,
that is,
and that's what's important. And also, and everybody knows when to shut up. And believe me, nobody's ego is bigger than mine. So you know, we're in the room. It's like, look, if we're going to put things on the table and measure them, once again, bring weapons.
Have you ever had any funny situations happen in rehearsals? Any snippets that?
Lots and lots and lots. I discovered one of our actors is and I won't name him, but he's
go on.
No. But he said a funny thing. We did an exercise which is called expert double figures, which is where somebody else is the arms for someone, and they become an expert, and they're being interviewed on a television show. And he said, look, I don't mind being the arms for a woman, but I'm not sure how I feel about a woman being the arms for me. And I said, I see. So it's okay for you to put your hands around and, you know, do all of that. But the other way around, he's like, oh, well, let me just try it. And I thought, what is going on here? But he's a very, very sweet guy. So that was all sort of quite peculiar. I thought, well, there's some stuff that needs to be worked on here. I don't mind touching this woman's chest, but I'm not sure how I feel about her touching mine.
Audience, give us a place. Therapy session, please.
Yeah, that's right. On the couch.
Arvin, what's the question again before I let you guys go?
What does ACT stand for?
Okay, what does ACT stand for? Because it's improv comedy and it's in conjunction with WAG Productions and ACT. Can I give it a... No, I can't. I was going to say what ACT
Sorry,
stands
you were going to
for.
say American Community Theatre? Sorry? What?
You people are hopeless at this game. I'm just going to say that.
We're the ones who would cheat at tests at school.
Obviously, I'd be spanking you.
No. But how family friendly is it?
We do put a warning on it because it is live and it is interactive. By the way, I just wanted to say, I always say interactive and people go, oh no, don't pick on me when I'm in the audience. If you don't want to be picked on, don't put your arm up, okay?
Yeah,
it'll be okay.
Or don't dress in, I know, neon pink lycra.
Or stand at the front and look at me eagerly, you know, sort of like, you know, if you're not going to, we'll work that out. But anyway, What was your question again?
Is there an age limit?
Yes, there is, because it is live, it is interactive, and
because it is out at the Fringe, where they do allow drinks inside.
Yes,
the
they
theater.
do allow drinks inside the theatre.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, which is a part of the fun.
That's
It's quite a well loved tradition that in plastic cups you can enjoy the show with a little bit of relaxation
G&T or whatever.
Coming to think about it, I've seen my friend drink some vodka next to me, and I didn't say anything. But now that I know they allow it, I'll be bringing.
Go there.
Yeah, I will.
You know,
yeah,
it's
that's right.
a straw and a bottle of wine, and off you go. So we don't encourage people to be, vulgar and it is still supposed to be a safe space. However, there is no question that when you have, a bunch of grown-ups who are quite comfortable with each other and having a bit of a laugh, and the audience is right into it too, sometimes there are F-bombs and other things that go on. So be warned. If you are very sensitive, or you have spent, all week in mass, then probably at mass, then probably Friday night at the Improv is going to be a bit of a shock.
But Saturday night is still on, so they have Friday night off, but they can come on Saturday.
All the confessions can go out. Forgive me, Father, for I have done these things. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Arvin and Wendy, for joining me today on the 123 show. And once again, if you have the answer to the question, what does ACT stand for, American Community Theatre? You can email me at 123show@rthk.hk or on...
Sorry, may I? Just to let the audience know, the reason why we keep repeating it is because there is a trick spelling.
Is there?
There is.
Wait, I'm just looking.
How is there a trick spelling?
Yeah, how's there a trick spelling?
Here's a clue. The first word is American.
Okay.
Community.
Oh, I see. Theatre spelled like
There
the
you go.
American way.
Oh, the improper way.
Yeah, the wrong way. Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute. My boss's boss is American. No, there are many ways to do things. So it's theatre spelled Theater. So if you'd like to know more, I am terrible at this. If you'd like to find out more about this, you can log on to www.acthongkong.com. And it's happening tomorrow at the Fringe Club, and on Saturday, the 30th and the 31st of August. Thank you so much, Arvin and Wendy.
Thank you, Noreen.
Bye.
Some nights I stay up, cashing in.